Okay, we are live. Thank you everyone for joining us in the Quality of Life and Public Safety Committee this evening. Today is Tuesday, June 15th, 2021. With us, we have our members is myself, Council President Molly Rosado, Councilman John Gale, Councilman Joshua Michtam, and our majority leader who should be joining us soon is Councilman TJ Clark II. I will be rearranging this the agenda a bit, but prior to continuing on with that, I just want to let everyone know that this is a live broadcast stream of tonight's Quality of Life and Public Safety Committee, and that it will be on the HPA-TV, Comcast and Frontier Government Channels 96 and 6032. It will also be streamed via hpatv.org, the HPA-TV Facebook page, and also HPA-TV Roku TV, Apple TV, and Amazon TV apps. It will also be rebroadcasted and made available on the HPA-TV YouTube channel. So thank you everyone for joining us. And we will skip the order and move on to item number 3, and I will entertain a motion for postponement.
It is my, thank you, Chairman. It is my item, and I will move to postpone it, understanding that there's some scheduling constraints this month. I would move that we postpone that item until next.
Thank you. Thank you. And also, if you may, if you can oblige me with the same on item number 4.
Can we do that all at once, or should we do that one and vote on it and then do the next?
We can do it all well, we can do it separate. So so let me explain what item number 3 is. So it's a resolution requesting that the Quality of Life and Public Safety Committee of the Court of Common Council take up at its next meeting the question of what recommendations to make, if any, concerning the impending renegotiation of the police union contract labor between the Hartford Police Union and the City of Hartford. Now, that contract is not due for renegotiation until next year, so it's not time sensitive. So thank you, Councilman Michtam, for that. So any comments? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Anyone against or abstaining? Pass. So if you may, on item number 4, please. If we can.
I move that we postpone item 4 until next month.
I second the motion.
Okay, thank you. And that item is a resolution requesting that the director of the Department of Emergency Services and Telecommunication, along with Hartford's Chief Operating Officer, who is to provide an updated report at the next scheduled Quality of Life Public Safety Committee meeting on the assistance to the firefighters grant. Any comment? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye.
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 Anyone against or abstain? Okay, passed. Okay, now we're moving on to item number 1, which is from Mayor Bronan, accompanying resolution authorizing the city to accept a fiscal year 2019 Homeland Security grant, which is also considered called RILO, in the amount of $60,000 from the State Department of Emergency Services and Public Protection. Who is here to speak on that? Assistant Chief Howell. Do we have anyone that's here to speak on that grant?
I'm not here to speak on it, but if there are any questions, my role is that I assist in the development of the transmittal letter and on the resolution. So as a member of the grants department, if there are any questions, I can answer them.
Yes, it just
having Weathersfield Avenue and the strategies we're using to address them, both through the police department, but also through ordinance change, also in partnership with the parking authority, as well as our partners at the state.
Okay, I also like to recognize Councilwoman Surgeon, who's on with us, and also our majority leader who just joined us. Cheryl, can you just give us a summary of what this grant is for? I think we receive every year, correct?
Yes, it's one of those grants, and there are a number of them, which are basically we call almost entitlement grants that they are received every year for similar kinds of functions, and they're meant to supplement and to assist a department in both either staffing or in performing essential services.
So is this more of a reimbursement to the city?
Most of the grants are reimbursement in the sense that the cost is incurred first and then they ask for the monies and receive them based upon what is spent.
Correct, okay. So Majority Leader, would you like to comment on this item, number 1? Okay, I guess he's off. So do we have anyone else that can comment on this?
No, I'm sorry, Councilman. For you, no, I don't have any comments.
Okay, Councilman Mictum.
Just forgive me if you've already answered this, Cheryl. What specifically, I assume that the grant is limited to some area of spending and within certain departments of the city, like what are those?
So this is a police department grant, and it's to basically facilitate communication between the state, local, and federal law enforcement and other agencies. It's called RILO because it's Regional Intelligence Liaison Office, and it's a point of contact to exchange information. So that's what it's funding.
A follow-up question, if I could, does that include communication with the Department of Homeland Security and Immigration Enforcement?
Well, since it is a Homeland Security grant, I would assume that there is some connection, but I don't really know too much in depth what the nature of the relationship is. And a lot of times these are, depending upon what the need is of the department, then they might tailor the grant to serve their needs. So
Is one last question, is there, because I feel like we're putting you on the spot, is there, whom should we have here who would sort of know all this stuff more in depth, or whom could I ask?
So, Pam Mendez, I'm always sending these on to Pam Mendez, who does a lot of the grants. She doesn't do all of the grants in the police department, but she's the person who I think has a lot of content knowledge about most of them. And if she doesn't, she tells me, who does. And to be honest, she did mention a person who she thought would be here tonight, Officer Lee, maybe, or somebody else. I can look that up for you, and she would be the person who I think either Chief Thody, if he were here, or she could name the people who are mostly responsible and are involved in the grant itself.
Okay, Councilman Gale.
Yeah, I don't know if this would be helpful, but in reading the resolution, the third whereas clause states that the Connecticut Department of Emergency Services is reimbursing the city $60,000 related to the salary of a detective who is assigned to the Connecticut Intelligence Center. So it sounds to me as though on our side of this, we're using the money to pay the salary of a Hartford police detective who's serving as the liaison from the Hartford Police Department to this Connecticut Intelligence Center, which is also further described in the resolution. So I don't know if that's helpful, but that's what the body of the resolution says.
Right, that makes sense. Okay, so now I have a question for you, Cheryl. Is and Councilman Gale, seeing that you have that in front of you, is this time sensitive?
I'm trying to remember if this one is. I know one of the two is time sensitive.
Yeah, I believe
You know
that's
what? They're
the
both 2019, so I would say they both are time sensitive. I know one of them actually ends on the end at the end of this month. It can be extended if with a request, but one of them definitely has a 6:30 deadline.
Let me see if I can find it here. Okay, so Assistant Chief Howell, can you share any information with us on this item?
Unfortunately, Councilman, I cannot. I'm just reading the resolution as you are. I'm not familiar with this grant. Pam Mendez, who is not here, would be the more appropriate person. It sounds as though it would be funding, we're paying the salary for reimbursement for C4. That's what it sounds like, but I'm not sure.
Okay. So, yes, Council President.
I was just going to recommend Councilman Sanchez to make a motion to send this back to council. And if we had any further questions, we could reach out via email, since this is a time sensitive item and we do have a council meeting that's coming up on the 28th.
Yes, we can do that. So can someone entertain a motion?
I'll entertain the motion to send back to council with a
Second.
favorable recommendation. And if anyone has any pending questions, we can share emails back and forth.
Right, and then we can have Chief Doty reach out to us with the information that required.
Correct.
Councilman Migdam.
I'm sorry, Council President. Did you say your motion was to send it back with a favorable recommendation?
Well, yeah, I'm sorry, with a recommendation back to council, pending all of our questions are answered by the council meeting, which is on the 28th.
Maybe this is a question for Corporation Council. Can we send it back to council with no recommendation, either positive or negative?
Yes, you can send it back with no recommendation.
But that's not your motion, Council President, or is it?
It is. It is my
Okay.
motion to send
Thank
back
you.
with no recommendation.
Understood. Thank you.
So all in favor?
Aye.
Just
Yes, Majority Leader.
Mr. Chair, just so that it's clear, because I know Council President did say motion to send back and then with a favorable. I just want to make sure that it's clear that her motion was to send it back to the council meeting. That is
With
not
no recommendation. Yes.
And I second it.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you, Councilman Clark.
Okay, so we're all on the same page, right? And then we'll
Yes.
get information from Chief Doty via email so that we can vote on it in the council meeting.
Yes.
Okay, so all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Abstain? Against? Okay, passed. And now we're going on to item number 2 from Mayor Bronan with accompanying resolution authorizing the city to accept a fiscal year 2019 Justice Assistant Grant, also known as JAG, in the amount of $185,614 from the United States Department of Justice. So if you can, and I know we receive this every year since I've been on. So if you can share with us some information so that everyone else will know. Cheryl, please.
I know what's in the letter. It's a grant that continues to be funded. It's a formula grant that's been accepted for a lot of years, and they use it to cover staff vacancies, conduct criminal investigations, provide targeted enforcement of criminal activity. And mainly this is used for overtime costs. So
basically, this is also sort of a reimbursement type of grant.
Correct. For services, yes.
For services rendered by our detectives and the department.
Right.
Okay. Assistant Chief Howell, any comments on this?
Well, I'm just familiar with the grant, not from here, but I'm familiar with this grant, and it's very helpful to us. Again, primarily with the overtime for targeted enforcement and some other enforcement efforts. So it's something that we heavily rely on, and think would be favorable to move forward with this. Thank you all.
Okay, thank you. Okay, do we have any other comments? Councilman Mictum.
Just a question for Assistant Chief Howell. If we don't get this grant theoretically, does assignments and scheduling, or does the department just sort of find money somewhere else and do things the same way?
Well, to my understanding, it would be that we would have to pull monies from somewhere else to cover the overtime and so forth. So this is this helps us, and of course the city. You're frozen on my screen, so I don't know if you can hear me. So to answer your question, yes, we would have to.
Now I can. I was gone for a minute. Could you just repeat yourself real quick?
Okay, yeah, you keep freezing on me. Yeah, so we would have to look elsewhere to. You can't hear me? Okay, we would have to look elsewhere to cover these funds because we rely on them. You know, if we don't move forward with this, it can cause issues in the PD. So I would hope that we would move forward with this.
This is also to reimburse the cost to the city. Okay, any other comment? Councilman Gale.
Yeah, just to expand on the question that Councilman Mictum just asked. In our budget book, section 34 at the back lists all the grants that are part of the budget. And this grant is listed there. It's a JAG grant. It's indicated that it's a yearly grant. And the budgeted amount is actually slightly different. It's 190,000. I see this is 185,000. So they must have anticipated receiving a little bit more. But in answer to your question, Councilman Mictum, based on the fact that it's included in the budget, well, this is the budget for next year actually that I'm looking at. So last year, I guess it was this smaller number, 185. Because it's included, if we didn't get the money, it's going to have to come out of the general fund somewhere. Because it's already, it apparently is already included in the budget.
Councilman Mictum.
Sorry to belabor the point, but I know Councilman Gale knows a little more about how these things work. Does it have to come out of the general fund anywhere, or does it have to come only from the police budget?
Well, you know, that I don't know that I can specifically answer it, except my guess is that it would come out of the police budget in the first instance. But I think if a budget is running over, then you run into the situation where the mayor comes back to council and asks to transfer funds from one bucket to another bucket. And others may, I see majority leaders raising his hand. He may know how this works better, but it seems to me that's one of the ways.
Councilman Clark.
Thank you, Councilman Sanchez. Councilman Mictum, typically, yes, all these positions are funded through the JAG program. That's basically how it's run, and then also too, I believe that usually there's no supplanting of this for these funds, and in the event that this is not funded, then that's where the mayor will have to take a look at, along with the chief, as to how these positions will be funded. Whether there's a general, as Councilman Gale had mentioned, whether there's a general fund expenditure, and then which will obviously the mayor will have to come to us with a request of a transfer of funds if it's not been properly budgeted through the police department. But these are just so that you're clear and everybody else is clear. These are funds not just specific to the Hartford Police Department, every municipality is able to apply through these funds, which meeting these particular criteria.
Thank you both.
Thank you, Majority Leader, for that explanation. Do we have any other questions? Okay. Can
I'd like to make
entertain
a motion.
Thank you.
I'd like to make a motion to send this item back with a favorable recommendation back to council.
Second.
Okay. So we've had discussions. Any more questions? Any more discussions? Okay, seeing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Everyone voted, so no one is abstaining or against. So this item passed. And I would like to say that the presentation from the HPD and the HFD has been sent via email, and they will not be here to present. So I believe that's the last item on our agenda. I want to thank everyone for coming out this evening and joining us for the Quality of Life and Public Safety Committee. Please, everyone, be safe. COVID is still around. If you haven't received your vaccine, please consider taking that vaccine. It's for your own health, but most importantly, for your family and your friends. And our offices are always open. If you have any questions, if there are any confusion on what the city is offering, please reach out to us. And also I'd like to introduce our Corporation Counsel Attorney Guglieri. I apologize I did not announce you, and also Director Webster from ES&T. Thank you, everyone. Have a great evening and enjoy the night.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
Bye.
Bye.